We are live, or so I'm told. What's up, everybody? Spencer Israel here with JC Perret, as always. Welcome to another episode of Chart Request Live, CRL. It's like TRL, but it's for stocks, not for music. JC, how is your day going?
No complaints, Spencer. We've been talking a lot about gold prices going higher. We've been talking about stock prices going higher. The indexes sort of remaining sideways, but underneath the surface, we continue to see improvement. And what are we seeing today? More improvement underneath the surface, more sector rotation, gold prices up again, pushing up against new all-time highs. Just a lot of opportunities out there every day.
Always, always, always. All right, if it's your first time watching the show, the premise is very simple. We have some stocks on our list we can talk about, but the name of the show is Chart Request Live. The keyword there is request, or I guess also live. So if you have a question, if you have a stock, a ticker, anything, drop it in the chat. You can also email us questions at stockmarketmedia.com, but the chat would be way more effective, I think, because I'm watching the chat right now. I see a few tickers in the chat. So if you have a question, drop it in the chat. We will try our best to take a look here in the next few minutes. But first, let's start with a stock that's on my list. One of the hot stocks of the day, CRISPR. JC, CRISPR Therapeutics, the gene editing stock, CRSP. I don't know. There was like a bullish note today from Deutsche Bank or one of those for sell side firms. I'm not sure. Anyway, all I know is the stock is ripping. What do you got?
Yep. So stock's up 15% today, up towards $50. So it puts it basically right around here, right? So this is where the stock is right now. So we'll get those closing prices. And, this is just a prime example of the type of growth stocks that really got, hit hard once stocks in general peaked. So notice how the peak here in CRISP was, you can see here, it was right in the first month of 2021. That is when the list of new 52-week highs list peaked. That's when the NASDAQ advanced decline line peaked. That was the peak in all the ARK stocks, right? That was when everybody had a SPAC. I even made a couple of phone calls on how I can get a SPAC.
I'm sure you did.
My friends fortunately told me that that's a terrible idea. And then I made more phone calls and I was like, how do I get a SPAC? Everybody seems to get a SPAC. And my friends are like, no, you don't want that. Fortunately, my friends are very smart. And sometimes I actually listen to them. And I did, obviously, in this case. Plus, it was a huge pain in the ass. Like, you can't just get a SPAC. Like, it's a process. So I never even started that process. But everybody else apparently was doing that. And that was when the CRISP and those types of growth stocks and stories really peaked. Chinese internet stocks peaked. All those things came tumbling down. Okay, great.
Yep.
So CRISPR Therapeutics, biotechnology in general also peaked then. CRISPR, I understand it's not biotech, it's more genomics and things like that. But part of that world, part of that, technology is going to change the universe and all that stuff. Well, it might, but shareholders certainly didn't think it doesn't happen anytime soon. The stock got absolutely crushed. Okay, great. So now we've seen sort of basing since last summer. Notice how this peaked in Q2 last year. That's when the new 52-week lows list peaked, right? So that's when most stocks bottomed, is when this one bottomed. So this one's just really behaving like a leader. One of the first ones to peak, one of the first ones to bottom, like classic. And here we are sort of hovering near the lower ends, near the lower bounds of this range, right? And it's finding a bit. So that's step one. The first thing stocks need to do before they can start going higher is to stop going down, right? But that doesn't necessarily change the fact that this is at best a sideways trend, potentially a downtrend, now trying to resolve higher as the NASDAQ makes new 7-month highs. Growth stocks in general have been outperforming this year with lower interest rates. This is the type of stock that should do well in that environment, should ultimately catch a bid. That's what we're seeing today. How much legs does it have? I mean, realistically, 57, 58, short term, right? Get back up towards these levels here, could eventually maybe get it into the 80s, right? These resistance levels is sort of, what's catching my attention, right? These former levels of resistance, that's going to be trouble on the way up. So this isn't like a clean trend. This isn't like a breakout. I can show you other kinds of breakouts like the CBOE, for example. This looks like CRISPR upside down, right? flip Chris, right? Flip Chris right down. You're going to get CBOE breaking out to new all-time highs, buying a breakout there. It's a much different situation than owning a CRISPR. So I think that was a nice little dynamic in
I like what you said about CRISPR. It's behaving like a leader in its sector, right? So if and when biotech starts to catch a bid and turn around again, then potentially look for a stock like this one to be leading the way. Let's move on here. There's a few in the chat already. Hanson Chan is asking. Let's look at John Deere for Hanson Chan. There's a few in there. Let's hit Deere first. I've not looked at this one for, gosh, several weeks, if not longer.
So Deere, this has been, certainly one of the leaders, right? For sure.
Oh yeah, dude, the industrials, man.
Oh yeah. So Deere had really gone nowhere for a long time, right? This goes back to the 2021 highs, sort of traded sideways for a long time there, right? Hasn't really done much, but comes within the context of a major uptrend, right? So I'm looking at these former highs back here, right? These are really the former highs right near these levels. And you can look at the crosshairs to really get an idea, just below 400. It's really that. And then what ended up happening here in John Deere, right? You sort of a false start. This is Deere, just to label it properly. This is DE. And this was a false start, right? Oops. Not quite ready to go just yet, right? So here's your resistance. Here's your resistance. Here's your failed breakout. Came tumbling down, right? Failed again. Right? Failed again. Now it's trying to really hold above these levels. Right? Really hold above those levels. Can it do it is the question. So taking a look at this thing today. Nice rally off the lows near a flat 200-day moving average, which is essentially characteristic of this sideways market that it's been in, right? But if we're holding above 400, 395, 400, I like it from the long side. A lot of relative strength here. You talked about industrials. Industrials have had, as money has rotated into technology, industrials took a little bit of a break after being a leader there. If this is a real raging bull market and we're continuing higher in stocks, Deere's probably not going to be crashing. Right? Good play for industrials. Looks very similar to the industrial sector.
So sometimes that's the best thing you can say about a stock is it's not underperforming its peers, right? Let's move on to Kevin, who has one here. It's new to me. KEX. This is a shipping stock. This is a shipper. Kirby Corporation. KEX.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is a big one.
I'm not up on the shippers. JC, I'm not well versed in those names.
Yeah, is Kirby still on the Dow Jones transportation? It used to be.
Oh my goodness, I have no idea. You want me to look it up?
Yeah, see if Kirby's still part of the Dow Jones Transportation Index. I think it is.
Right,
regardless, it definitely used to be. Let me just double check on the market cap here. So Kirby right now sitting at $4 billion in market capitalization, which is a mega cap for this type of stock. They don't have big ones, right? Which is why when these shipping companies are outperforming, it doesn't have really any impact on the major indexes because there just aren't any large caps. Right? So here's Kirby. This is KEX. Label this properly. This thing's it's not a leader, it's not a winner. Right? Still below, it looks a lot like energy peaking in 2018. It looks like the explorers and producers, it looks a lot like that. We're just nowhere near these levels. I mean, we can most certainly in the short term, sort of these levels sort of act like a magnet.
It is still in the Dow Jones Transport. I did not know that.
There we go. See who's better. Come on. Pretty good,
Hey,
huh?
I mean, No one knows their Dow indexes like you.
Oh, Charlie Dow would be very proud of me
He would be
there,
proud.
Spencer. He would
He
be
would be
very
proud.
proud. He wasn't an egomaniac that actually named him after himself. It was later on named after Charlie, just in
Ah,
case anybody was wondering.
didn't know that.
You know, fun fact. You know,
Fun
he
fact.
wasn't. He was a good egg. That Charlie Dow. You know, he was a journalist out of Springfield,
That's true.
Massachusetts.
That's true.
So that's
Okay.
what it looks like to me, guys. You know, it's messy. You know, when you go chart by chart, and you know you're trying to decide what you're going to buy, you know, and I look at this chart, is this the one I'm going to buy? You know, like of all the charts out there, of all the stocks that trade, of all the uptrends there are out there, is this the one I'm going to choose? Probably not.
Mm.
You know, so I'm looking at about $75. You start getting above $75, you know, you want to put on a trade back up towards like 92 or something like that, knock yourself out. You know, you're a better man than me. It's not for me. It's messy. I like them clean. I got enough headaches. This one just looks like a headache, and you know I'm good. I got enough things going on in my life. I don't need another issue. This seems like trouble, aggravation that I don't need.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's switch gears here. Let's go over to specialty retail Academy Sports ASO.
All right, ASO coming up on a lot of scans. A lot of people talking about this name.
Interesting.
A lot of people talking about this name. Not to be confused with All-Star Charts options, right? ASO.
God forbid.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. I don't know. Maybe they sell outdoor equipment. People going outdoors more. That's my fundamental thesis there, right? If that's even what they do.
Yeah, they are another version of like, remember Sports Authority, or they're Dick's. They're competitors to Dick's Sporting Goods. That's who they compete with. Yeah.
I do remember Sports Authority. I really like Sports Authority.
Yeah, RIP.
All right, so here you go. Here's your ASO. Let's open this up a little so we can pinch the old x-axis. You know me, how much I like to pinch my x-axis. And now, what are we doing here? You got your former highs over here. Here's your Fibonacci extension level near 67. Stopped on the dime. All right. Here's your resistance. Here's your breakout. Here's your retest. How you doing? All right. Here, your first target up near 67. Right now going through this little consolidation phase. If we're above 67 and you like it long, knock yourself out. I don't know if it's quite ready to go just yet. You know, might need to chill out a little bit longer. But strong uptrends don't care what JC thinks. They're going to rip right through. So I think 67 is the big number there. I think if you're above 67, I think you're good. Below 67, it's messy, right? Because that keeps us below last month's highs, right? Which is resistance for now. But if we're above 67, first of all, I'm definitely not going to be short. And this is a relative leader. Stock's making new all-time highs. Spencer, I don't know how it is where you come from in New Jersey, but where I come from, we don't see a lot of new all-time highs and downtrends.
I mean, I think that's how it is in every state. But
I don't know. I don't know how it is in New Jersey.
We are too busy driving on highways to be looking at charts.
Taylor ham and disco fries. Best thing ever come out of New Jersey.
Sure. Okay. Among the best things. Let's go back to my list here because I had a few more. I want your thoughts on Mara. Because we've been talking about crypto. Obviously, it's not new that it's been in an uptrend, and crypto is broken. Bitcoin broke above 30,000, and talk about leaders and laggards. And Mara has been Marathon Digital, whatever they changed the name to now at this point. I can't even keep up. It has been just Rip City in this thing.
Yep.
All year. Basically since the start of the year.
Yeah. You know, what ended up happening, Spencer, is that last year, we have the data, as all these stocks got hurt, Mara included, right? These things got slaughtered, right? A lot of growth stocks, not just in crypto, because these are crypto miners, not just in crypto, but growth stocks in general got killed last year with interest rates absolutely ripping. But what ended up happening is that the shorts, rather than covering and taking profits, the shorts added to their positions. So yes, were there traders who did take profits? Were there traders who were profitable? Yes. That's not what we're talking about. In aggregate, which is what actually matters to the rest of us, not what some random guy, in aggregate, the shorts increased on the way down. They were adding to positions to the point where coming into the new year, they hadn't been as short. They were the most short they had ever been, these growth stocks coming into the new year. So what are you seeing? Is Mara now...
Isn't it always that way? Everyone gets on the same side of the seesaw, right?
It was really egregious, though, Spencer. It's not usually this egregious.
Okay.
Sentiment was at levels, depending on how you calculate it, that we may have never seen before. Worse than in the depths of COVID, worse than at the bottom of the great financial crisis. Sentiment was that bad. So does it always happen? To a certain extent, yes, but this was very aggressive. And Mara was front and center because it's tech, it's growth, it's NASDAQ, it's cryptocurrencies. It's like all the buckets, right? Like, you know, check. So they were very aggressively short all of these stocks. And we have seen just a vicious unwind. It's been incredibly powerful. We've been pounding the table on it all year. It continues. And, you know, to quote John Roque, shout out John Roque, we are not in a reversion to the mean business. We are in a reversion beyond the mean business. And this is exhibit A, Spencer. Like, this is what you're seeing is a reversion beyond the mean. We are passing the average prices. We're above all the moving averages, right? We've reverted beyond. And we're seeing that now. And if anything, that is definitely classic. Once the reversion begins, once the sentiment unwind begins, it tends to last longer than most can appreciate.
For sure.
So needless to say, about $15 is next. You know, I think that's a good level. You got your resistance from that initial thrust, right? So use your initial thrust. This is when the shorts first got squeezed. And then after some consolidation, now they're just getting destroyed. And you know, they're stubborn. They're stubborn, Spencer. They're not covering. The margin clerks are covering for them. Why do you think this Mara is up 15%? Because fundamentally things are changed? Someone's getting squeezed. They're getting squeezed hard, man.
How many times have we seen when sentiment peaks or sentiment bottoms, that is the turn, and that marks, you know, when sentiment peaks, that's the top. When it right, yeah, and when and then and when it bottoms, that's the bottom. And it's almost like the people that are last to the party are flooding in, and they missed the move already.
That's right. So, you know, I think 15 is the level there. I mean, right now we're about 11.5. So you got 9.5 to the downside. That's your downside support, right? Yep. That's former resistance there. That's from this little how you doing right there. See that after that initial thrust up, right? And then this all really stemmed from a failed breakdown, right? This is a nice little oopsie daisies. Oopsies. Didn't really mean for that to happen. Oopsie daisies. And then see, this was the original support. So this was the actual low. This was the retest of that low that extended. And this was the official retest. And now we're off to the races. And really what this completes is just a major, major bottom. And I don't know how they teach it in New Jersey, but the way I learned it was that we want to be buying the smiley faces and selling the frowny faces there, Spencer. Buying the smiley face. This looks like a smiley face to me. You know, kind of like when I'm in Fiore's in Hoboken with my roast beef and fresh mutts. This is me, JC, with a smiley face.
Keep it simple. Smiley, you buyly. Frowny, you're outie. I like that.
I just made that up.
I just made it up just now. I swear.
Wow, that's pretty good. I like that.
Okay. Tomorrow, JC, Friday the 14th is a big day for the market. Bigger than usual because we're getting the start of bank earnings. Bank earnings are always like interesting, but they're interesting in the sense that like, yay, it's earnings season. Let's see what the banks did. But now we're going to actually get commentary from a bunch of banks tomorrow about what happened during a quarter in which there was a banking crisis, right? So tomorrow, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, PNC, BlackRock, Citi, those are the five. We don't got to look at them all. Just pick one, JC, or pick the index. I don't care. But let's take a look at something in this sector right now and just gauge the chart heading into tomorrow, because if CEOs are always under the microscope with their earnings statements and their press conferences afterwards and their conference calls. Tomorrow will be like the most microscopic everybody will be there. We're going to be laser focused on every single word out of these CEOs' mouths tomorrow, because they're going to have to comment on what just happened for the last 2 months, so a month and a half. So let's take a look at a chart and let's see what's happening.
Well, let's start with financials as an index, as a sector. That's fine. And you can see here the 2007 peak before the great financial crisis, and this is the 06-07 peak in home construction, right? And this is before the peak before the housing bubble, peak before the great financial crisis. Theoretically, this is some of the most important price points in American history. Stock market history, you can't deny it. Literally, the high-end financials before the great financial crisis. By definition, one of the most important prices of all time. Well, anyway, after the crash, and we continued all the way into 2018, we finally retested those levels, failed again, retested those levels again pre-COVID, failed once again, and then after COVID eventually broke out. Great. We made all-time highs in financials, and now here we are back at the most important price points in stock market history. The price in financials before the great financial crisis. If we start losing last summer's lows, which are the highs from pre-great financial crisis, it's a big problem. But I'd like to point to home construction because of the correlation over time has been very strong between these two groups of stocks. And we have seen tremendous strength out of home construction. So it's almost like, okay, who's right? Is it financials that are right and home construction is going to come tumbling down? Or is it home construction that's right and financials are going to catch up? Over the last several weeks, what have we seen? We've seen financials catching up. So as long as that remains the case, all is well, like Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House. All is well, right? Remain calm, right? But if that is not the case, and we are back below those levels, that's a big problem. So I want to take a look at PNC. This is just probably, is it the poster child? It might be the poster child.
Honestly, yeah. The big banks get the most attention, but like JP Morgan, Wells, Citi, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, the problem is not with them, right? The problem is with the smaller banks, right? Yeah. The regionals, the super regionals, or even the local banks. So yeah, PNC definitely under the microscope tomorrow.
So here's PNC. So here's the highs from 2018. Right. These are the peaks.
Wait, this is JP Morgan?
This is PNC.
Okay.
And these are the peaks. And then here we broke down, right? After a bunch of churning, this resolved to the downside, right? So what happens? Then now you've got all these dead bodies up at 160.
Yeah.
Waiting to be sold to you. So any strength into that area is going to be met by selling, right? Which is fine if that's the trade that you're trying to put on. But from the long side, I mean, you're betting that we hold these levels, essentially. You're betting that we hold 120. So if you want to make a trade, look at some momentum. There's just no momentum catalyst whatsoever suggesting, right? It's not like you have a bullish momentum divergence at all.
I mean, like,
when you look at the daily time frame either.
So what is that, a double bottom right there? Like, if you zoom in?
I mean, it could be. It could be.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it is. Well, it's a downtrend is what it is, but I do think that it's a bellwether for what's going on. I'm looking at 120. If we're above 120 and you want to be long, I like that trade long. Long if above 120, target of 160. I like that trade. Below, because that puts us above the March lows. And that's really what's got my attention. The March 16th lows. We're above that. I think we could be long 40 points on 120. It's 33%, Spencer. Not too shabby. Very well-defined risk. The stock is literally at 121.21. You got a point and change to the downside. Granted, this is a group that could see gap risk to the downside. So just keep that in mind when you're position sizing. Being a little too exposed to something like this is probably not the best idea. But putting on a trade, responsible position sizing, if The stock is above 120. I got no problem with that. Target up near 160. Below 120, you can't touch it. And you got gap down risk. So keep that in mind.
No, you're out, right? No, you're out.
And if you
Okay.
can't handle that gap down risk, don't put it on.
Yeah.
Like this isn't one of those, oh, well, my stop didn't work because it gapped down 20%, 30%. This thing could gap down 70%. This thing could be at zero tomorrow. So you have to know that going in. You know, the options market is a great way to help manage risk. You know, there's a lot of different ways to do it. The bottom line is 120 is the level. Below that, you know, there's support at zero.
All right, Mr. Ham in the chat. By the way, if you have a question about a ticker, you want us to talk about it, drop it on the chat like Mr. Ham just did. He said, "What's up with gold?" Well, what's up is that it's up. That's what's up with gold. It's up again. Shocker. It's up 1.5% today. What else is new?
The most bullish thing that gold can do is go up in price, right? This is the most bullish thing that any stock can do is go up in price. An object in motion tends to stay in motion, even if it's a useless rock. I don't care if we're buying and selling rocks or U.S. Treasury bonds or golds or growth stocks or value stocks. Doesn't matter to me. As long as we can sell it at a higher price than where we buy it, I don't give a damn what we're buying. In this case, it's a yellow rock. And here, this yellow rock has done nothing for over a decade. And, you know, what I like about this is that you could have bought anything over the last 10, 12 years and made a lot of money. Anything. Bonds, stocks, cryptocurrencies, literally anything except gold, right? And you wouldn't have made money, which is hilarious. So, okay, fine. But what that creates is a lot of frustration. It creates just a lack of no one's interested in it, right? There's just no excitement whatsoever, which leads a lot of upside if and when it gets going. And what's interesting, you know, we could potentially close at a new all-time high today. It's that close. And when we look at gold priced in other currencies, we're already making new all-time highs. Price in euro, gold price in Australian dollars is making new all-time highs. Gold price in Japanese yen already making new all-time highs. And you can compare it to those prior cycles highs. Look at gold in Aussie. We are well above those prior cycles highs, where in the US dollar, we've gone nowhere, right? Look at gold price in British pounds making all-time highs, gold price in Canadian dollar making all-time highs. So I think it's only a matter of time before we see new highs in traditional US dollars. You know, we treat gold more like a currency than we do a commodity because it behaves like a currency. It doesn't behave like a commodity. When all the commodities were going up, this was the only one that wasn't. And before commodities got going, gold was doing great. So it's like kind of in a world of its own, trades more like a currency than it does a commodity. So we're going to treat it like one, right?
What if gold actually is an inflation hedge, just like a year or two too late? It's like an inflation hedge, but like, you know, delayed by a year. Maybe.
Listen, gold maybe one day might be an inflation hedge, but to date, we've never seen any evidence whatsoever that it is.
No, I know that's just what they say. And then when we got inflation for the first time in 40 years, gold was nowhere to be found. But hey,
I don't know where they're getting their data, but there's never been any evidence whatsoever that gold is a hedge against inflation. Neither is Bitcoin, by the way.
Maybe it just took a year and a half for gold to wake up. All right, got time for a couple more. Let's look at UPS quickly.
Good old UPS.
Ups.
United Parcel Service. UPS is at my house a lot. My wife likes to order a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, we got.
And then after that, we'll do one more, and then we'll hop.
This is United Parcel Service. We'll label this correctly. And then here you're looking at some nice key support right there, right around 155 or so. Right? Sitting right around 155. And then you got this potential topping pattern, right? That I think a lot of people see, right? What did we talk about smiley faces and frowny faces there, Spencer?
It's smiley, you biley.
Frowny outy. And this might be like this, right? This might be like this. And we're going to come tumbling down. Or this is really just the lower end of the range. And we can appreciate back up towards that upper end of the range. You got a little failed move there. That's what this looks like to me. And then you got your support right there, right around 155. Right? So we're kind of right in the middle of that range right now. Right? So yeah, could it be a massive top? Sure. I think it's more like something like this, you know? It's more like something like this. Probably head up towards that, 218 area or so. Right
What's
around that
interesting?
area.
What's interesting is you got a little head and shoulders there. I don't know what is. Well, I guess that was like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, you're looking at
Yeah.
something like this. For you, head and shoulders aficionados out there. I guess Spencer's one of those aficionados.
I mean, it's the easiest pattern to spot, right? It's the easiest one.
It's also the one that works the least amount of times.
Maybe that's why.
So yes, this could be a head and shoulders, and then this is your neckline. If you're, since it's so easy to spot, because the problem is that it's easy for everybody to remember what it's called. What people fail to realize is that markets trend, right? Markets trend by nature. Like they're not reversal in nature, they trend. So what might appear like a head and shoulders top might actually just be a consolidation within an ongoing uptrend. And it normally is, because markets trend, they're not random, right? So this is a great example of that. Because you're right. When you look at this, sure, I see that. Great. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that we're going to break the neckline, which is around 155, and break down. We could. But this is the higher probability outcome.
Okay, let's do one more real quick. Joe was asking about European semis. We can look at ASML or STM or any other one, I assume, for that matter. Semis is such a fascinating sector because it's the haves and the have-nots. We were talking about this the other day. The haves, over the last few months, Intel, NVIDIA, AMD, the big names, and the have-nots are, Broadcom and those guys. But it's there's been a divergence there. I haven't really paid close attention to the European semis. So which one is this?
So this is ASML.
Okay, this is the largest, I think.
This is the
largest European semi.
This is what we like to refer to as the Dutch master.
That's good.
ASML here for those who partake. We don't have enough Fibonacci extensions on this computer, so let's just extend that one more. Look at this. This is us adding Fibonacci extensions right on the fly. Right on the fly there, Spencer.
Okay.
One more. It's not enough. Not enough. I mean, it still has some work to do, clearly. This thing's a beast. This thing is... ASML is 260 billion, dude. This thing is an absolute monster. The Dutch master from Amsterdam. You're looking at around this 450 level. All right. And then, if you want, take these guys out.
Well, where are we now? 700 something? 6 something? 6. Yeah.
Stock is 666.
Man, do a stock split or something. $600?
Yeah. Why do you want to do a stock split?
So I can afford it?
Yeah, but they don't want you to afford it. They want it to be institutions only. They don't want the weak hands. They want the diamond hands.
I know.
Right? Yeah. No, it's better. Why do you think why do you think the A shares cost so much?
Oh yeah.
Warren is no dummy.
No, he's not.
Uncle Warren knows. Uncle Warren knows. We don't want the weak hands. We pretend that we want the mom and pop investors, but we actually want Fidelity. And
speaking of that, were you whispering in Warren's ear to invest in Japan? Was that you?
Is Warren investing in Japan?
Yeah.
Well, I'm convinced. Me and Straza have talked about this plenty. I'm convinced that Warren Buffett has a technician that works for him because, I'm not even kidding. You laugh, dude. I'm telling you. Like, there's no way Carl Icahn has a technician working for him because the shit he's buying looks terrible always. The stuff that not that he's wrong. It's just when we look at it, it's like there's no, you're on your own, right?
Can I offer another hypothesis? It's just an algo, man. He's running an algo. If I assume you're talking about Oxy, if Oxy hits
a lot of them,
all right. If stock X hits price Y, buy, boom. It's just an endless series of limit orders. That's all it is.
So this is what it looks like here. We're at 666 for the Dutch Master. I think we go to 900, retest those former highs. But you know, listen, when you zoom out, you know, that 730 still messy. It's not the cleanest. It's a sideways trend. We're right in the middle of a range. So, you know, if that's your game, knock yourself out. You know, of the semis, it's definitely strong. You know, if we're gonna go semiconductors, though, Spencer, we're gonna go semis. How about the on semiconductor? Right?
On?
Get on. So right now it's at $77. This is key support. We're going to go semi. I think this is the easier trade. And I don't want to say easier. I think it's the less hard trade. How about that? The less hard trade for on semiconductor, you know, making new all-time highs. You know, so we're going to talk about relative strength in semis. This is a smaller one too. It's only 33 billion. It's a $77 stock. Is that cheap enough there for you, Spencer?
That's better. Okay. That was a lot of questions today. I appreciate all the participation in the chat. This is Chart Request Live. The show airs every single Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. He's JC Perez, the founder of All Star Charts. I am Spencer Israel with Stock Market TV. And that's a wrap. So drop us a like if you can. We'd appreciate that. If you want to leave a comment, or if you have any questions about anything, if you want to see us talk about different stocks, or if you want to have an idea for a new show or whatever, the line is open. Email us questions at stockmarketmedia.com. And JC knows we're going to be launching a bunch of new shows on this channel. So subscribe, and then you'll find out when those shows go live. And that's all I've got. So everyone have a great rest of your day. JC, have a great rest of your day. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Adios.